We begin this hour in the warming waters between the United States and Cuba. Though separated by just 90 miles, their political systems and economies have been divided by far more. That is, until Wednesday's announcements by the presidents of both nations. They signaled a restoration of diplomatic ties, and that would have major economic impact on the region and beyond. CCTV's Shraysi Tandon now joins us from New York with the very latest. Shraysi?
Sean, we all know Wednesday marked a historic day for both Cuba and the U.S. Cubans crowded around their TV sets and erupted in applause after the announcements by President Barack Obama and Castro. They're restoring diplomatic relations, and it's a very politically charged decision, but also one that has many economic implications.
For decades, America's economic sanctions against Cuba have been a thorn in bilateral relations. Many Cubans blame the U.S. for stifling economic development and depriving the nation of growth and prosperity. But on Wednesday, the prospects of exports, jobs, and new money brought hope to the island nation. While U.S. President Barack Obama can ease some restrictions, only Congress can end the trade embargo. If that happens, and with the two countries poised to resume trade, many U.S. businesses could benefit.
Many goods going into the country flow from Europe, particularly from Spain, some from Canada as well. And so you could think about manufactured operations, American cars. You could see reopening dealerships in the country over time. A range of manufactured goods there, and obviously services, banks could be down there as well.
Prior to the Cuban Revolution in the 1950s, U.S. farmers did a lot of business with Cuba, providing rice, beans, and other agricultural commodities. With Cuba importing nearly 80% of its food, U.S. farmers could see an increase in rice and bean exports again. The Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates exports of U.S. goods to Cuba could reach nearly $4.5 billion per year, a significant increase from the $360 million last year.
The decision to lift restrictions on Cuba heralds a new era for U.S.-Cuba relations. But some experts say the diplomatic thawing will not be without consequence.
Anytime a new market opens up, there's political risk, there's legal risk. There is foreign investment in Cuba today, but it's relatively limited, and so you're operating in an environment of some uncertainty. But as we've seen in socialist economies that open up and reformed, most famously China, when you're poised for growth and an economy is growing at 5 or 10% a year, we think those opportunities will far outweigh the uncertainties for any company.
For many, the most eagerly awaited change is the removal of travel restrictions on U.S. citizens. A change that could have a dramatic impact on Cuba's tourism industry, allowing millions of visitors to pump U.S. dollars into Cuba's economy.
Now, along with tourism, there's also excitement among cigar lovers who will soon be able to buy and enjoy the popular Cuban Cohiba cigars. Sean, I'm not sure if you're someone that likes to dabble in the odd cigar, but if you do, you can now enjoy it with some Cuban rum, perhaps.
Perhaps, and I'm sure it'll come with somewhat of a cost as well. Well, the U.S. has been out of the picture in Cuba for, more than 50 years now. And as you mentioned in your story, some countries have been helping Cuba's economy. Which have been the largest trading partners?
So China, Venezuela, and a number of European economies like Spain and the Netherlands, they've been Cuba's largest trading partners over the last few decades. Cuba is a big producer of sugar and tobacco, as well as coffee, and it exports all these products to those countries, such as China and Venezuela. And in turn, countries like China and Canada import things like food and petroleum. As I mentioned earlier, Cuba imports roughly 80% of its food products. Now, the experts I've spoken to say that once trade resumes with the U.S. could really quickly become Cuba's largest trading partner and displace some of those previous countries that I mentioned. But it's important to keep in mind that this trading situation, it's not a zero-sum game. So the U.S.'s gain will not come at the cost of, say, China's expense. Instead, the focus here is going to be very much on propping up Cuba's economy, creating jobs and growth in that country, Sean.
Yeah, that island nation could change very dramatically, very quickly. Shraysi, thanks very much.